Hello, everybody. Good morning to the people in Europe. Hello to India, and good afternoon to to colleagues in Asia. Exciting to be part of such a long conference, really a marathon, 24 hours. Very interesting here. I would like to give you an overview a little bit of the next topic. It is onboarding in minutes, and that takes us a little bit to a new topic for client onboarding overall. That is something that is getting more and more important nowadays with the digital world, with the digital economy. More and more companies are doing it, and especially in these times where the decentralized setup for companies has become a big topic in the last months. Of course, this is now even more important than otherwise. I'll share my screen with you. I hope that you can see now a presentation, a background. Otherwise, please just chat or let me know. Just say it. So basically, why is this important topic an important one? It is basically because it used to be important for financial institutions, right? For banks, for your insurance company, and so on. Those were the ones which needed to onboard their clients and get a lot of personal information on the background. All this is following anti-money laundering regulations, and also the know your clients, that is called, right? The client identification in the banking side. That is what everybody needs to follow. Now, that is a very complex product, or it's a very complex process. Talking from banks, they take a day, and so that is a very costly setup. And now this year, the requirements of who needs to do this have been enlarged in the European Union. There was, from the beginning of the year, there's the fifth anti-money laundering directive is in place this year, and that is why this is it has been even enlarged to the people who are that are obliged to do this, to undergo this process. I'm just checking here. I'm getting here requests to admit the people to the room. I don't know, is there another room administrator here? No, okay. I'll try to do this in parallel as well. I hope that you can still see my screen despite of the Zoom. Despite of the Zoom window, which is open here now. Otherwise, just let me know. So basically, that is why this onboarding is now really an important, has become a much more important topic than it was until last year. Now also, for example, goods traders need to do this. Everybody who's doing trading of goods above 10,000 euro equivalents of value, you need to follow certain anti-money laundering directions within the European Union. For now, that is something which is new this year, and so this is spanning across, beyond the financial industry only, which was subject to this so far. Another industry which has now become part of this is also arts. So art trading, art sales. If you're an artist, and let's say you have a sculpture or a painting or something, And the moment the value of it reaches beyond 2,000 euros within the European Union, you need to do a certain client identification and the background check on the buyer of your art, which is, of course, a very complex thing. And so that is, of course, a tricky situation there. Now, let me give a very quick intro. I'm Felix. I'm head of business development in Decent, and we're part of an ecosystem, as you see, the companies and services on the top, which are centering around fundraising for companies. Token Gate is, for example, something where we do security token issuances. So that is really how can we bring blockchain technology into the financial industry and support small, medium-sized companies for fundraising on that side. And the others are also associated companies. One important part is here within the fundraising or with trading of goods, how we have heard now, it is also going beyond that. It is important to see that we need to follow these certain rules. Now, and that is what we are specialized in KYC Gate, which is really the heart of it all, and that is a tool for onboarding clients and following all the requirements needed. Now, let's continue on that. What are we doing basically? Currently, we have a situation where a bank needs, for the onboarding, they need up to 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours for an individual client to get in the meeting, get the documents required, do the background checks, because the first step is the client identification, but then thereafter there's the background check, which is the anti-money laundering requirements, right? And that is really where they are doing background checks. They are on risk-based approach. They are doing online research and so on. And this all together depends from each actor. It is always a different timeline, but they are calculating between 6 to 8 hours, depending on the complexity. And for companies, even up to a whole working day or beyond for for identifying and onboarding a client. So this is really where we see that the challenge. This is a costly setup, and financial institutions need to do this, but now also more and more other industries. Now, maybe to give you an insight of, okay, how do we go about it? What did we change from the setup, how it was done in the past by banks? We are not a bank. We're a service provider. Amongst others, 2 banks. There are Swiss banks who are using our tool internally as their client onboarding. So it is in compliance with all the Swiss Financial Markets Authority requirements. And also other actors are using it abroad. So in other European countries, mostly where it is, of course, adjusted to the local requirements. Now, what do we do? It is about the fast client onboarding. What does that mean? It means that you can do it on the laptop, on the telephone, and that you can have a video identification, you can upload your documents, and you have automated identification as well, the possibility to do that. Depending on the requirements, we can all integrate this, or actually all these services are seamlessly integrated into this platform, and that is what makes it easier to use. Now, the compliance dashboard is basically where you have the oversight, where the person in your company, the compliance responsible person, is having an overview, which I will share in a moment. I will show you, give you a little bit of a insight how it looks like there and how to use it. But the important thing is that you've got everything on one part. in one location. You have access to all the external information systems, the internal ones, and everything the interaction is quite smooth. And the banking grade for many industries, that is basically to say, yes, this has all the requirements of sorry, I'm getting here requests from the room, so this is in line with all the requirements for banking industry. What we have here is let's continue to this overview. What is that? It shows you a little bit the process, how we're going about. First, you are the potential client is entering the personal details. As I mentioned, it's possible on the mobile and well, decentralized from wherever you are. Then the documents are being set up in the how it is needed. For this, it is important that you have the client identification is all done already. The background checks are done. So you are actually you are getting to sorry, you're already all the information that is gathered from the client is then being used in the documents generated for that client, be it a sales document or an onboarding document or so on. Now, the third point here is the identification. There, I mentioned we can have automated identification. You have the ID upload identification and video identification. Depending on what your service is, you can choose what is needed for that, and thereby you can have that on KYC Gate. We can activate that or deactivate it depending on the needs. The important thing is here that it's also fully tailor-made and so to the requirements that your company has or your service does have. The identification, you can use external parties if you're required to. We work there, for example, together with Intrum, and thereby we can also have the electronically e-signatures on certain documents, and these are legally binding agreements can be made like that. Digitally signed agreements are done there. Then comes to the compliance due diligence approval. It is important that you have access to all the required information. In the past, this was a very time-consuming, paper-intensive process. You needed to communicate with the client, get more and more information. If something is not right, going back and forth and back and forth. Now here we have access to sanction lists, to country watch lists, law enforcement, law exclusions. We identify politically exposed persons and so on. So you have all of this in one place, and beyond that, it goes also here on forensics for all the payments. So you can see who is for a transaction that is coming in, where does it come from, who is the owner, which bank did they send the money from, or even more importantly on crypto transactions now, because that is also what is now included in this European directive, which is in place from the beginning of the year, that all crypto payments also beyond a certain volume need to be checked for the origin, for the people behind it, and so on. So there also we're doing forensic checks for crypto payments, and thereby the compliance officer and the responsible people in your company can approve these payments or not, or reject them. So you have always full control. Now, the compliance completed onboarding is the next, after you have completed that, you've got the client dossier, all the information in one place, and can use it going forward, which makes then the management easier. Now, let me put a different slide here. Let me know if it's not visible or something, or if something is not clear. This is basically the dashboard, the compliance dashboard, which gives you an overview here of test clienteles. You have here all the clients on an overview. Then, oh, sorry, now I need to log in again. Sorry for that, I was out too long. Of course, we've got two-factor identification in place. Let me quickly get in again. Okay, so here we've got an overview of the clients, and if I do the compliance check, I see them here. Here, for example, these are the new clients, or the ones where the process is still ongoing. Now I have here as an example. I click on this here. That's the one we will look into. But as you can see, with one click directly, you can see here directly the dashboard. You see where the processes and what kind of risk level these people have. Here there is, this is a high risk as well, medium, or here no hits, everything is okay. All right, that was just a simple test client, for example. Now here where we have an example of a client, we see that, yeah, we have got a minimum overall risk, and we have a political exposed person flag coming up. So here what I can see, I can, in order to see all the details, I assign this client to me. Now this is an important part, because by clicking this as a compliance officer, it is tracked that that I am now having that that I'm checking this client. Now, this is important because it is important for auditing, so that we know who is doing what. So I was just checking here the link that was sorry, the group chat, which was taking my attention, but it was just about the visibility of the screen. I hope that everything is good there. Now, on this client, let's have a look at what comes up here with that. And it shows you, based on the information of the individual here, the name and so on, the background, financial situation, and so on. We have all this visible in one place. But depending on what was entered by the client, we've got here 2 hits which came up. And then we can say, okay, which one is it? And if we say, for example, this person seems like the person that we're dealing with here, we can click there, and here we've got all the information which comes from the connected databases. Now we can see that this person is a politically exposed political individual, and we can see here the background, who it is, how it is associated with other people's external links. Here we've got the online research can be done like that, and all this is just a lot of time saving, because all this is in one place. And let's say we have some additional questions. The documents here that were uploaded by the person are here visible as well. But let's say we have some background checks that we need to do, or we have some question to the client. Then we can add here a request. This is sent directly to the client. We can enter that we require more information, another document to be uploaded, and so on. And this is also a tracked communication with the client, which is again important for the auditing of you. Now, let's say everything is okay. Once we have checked all this, here we can approve or reject the client, and thereby the client gets notified that he is accepted to the platform. Otherwise, I can set it here to unassigned. That's how I get out of it, and ask. I can assign this also to a different colleague. For example, if I need to assign this to the head of compliance or something, I can do that as well. Now, that is a little bit of what you are seeing. Let's quickly check here who are the clients, who are the side of the client. This politically exposed person that we took as an example, for example, if he wants to sign up for the client, you have this embedded. We can bring that over from your website, and then this is, for example, a site. This is an example. This, of course, would be fully tailor-made to you. So we have here white labeling with you would see your logo and your colors and so on. And just a few points that I like to point out here. You can register as a legal entity, which will then, of course, open all the requirements, all the additional documents, etc., which have to do with the people in the company and the company itself. Here with individuals, we've got even the possibility of creating not only a single account, but a joint account, for example. And then we can just minimize this. Oh, sorry. This was also inactive too long. These security checks actually bring me to another point, which is also very important. All data on this platform is stored in Switzerland. It is not with some general internet providers. Amazon is, of course, one of the, which is the most used one usually globally. But there you can run into some difficulties also with the client data. It is following all the requirements in Switzerland that the banks are having, so it is on the highest level of all. The security checks against being hacked or so, that is also very an integral part in it. And by making it so resilient against all these factors is a very important point, because nowadays, if you have a data loss of client data, that of course nowadays is an absolute catastrophe. Not only within financial intermediaries, but also we all know the headlines of news when any company, an eBay sales company, has been hacked and so on. So that is very important to have all that security given. Now with the joint account, I enter here the details and so on. What is interesting here, and this is also applicable in a company, I can add other colleagues of mine or spouses, etc. And this is, so it goes beyond just a single onboarding. Now we're filling in all the information that is required. As mentioned before, you can tailor this, you can add some if you have additional documents, or keep it also more simple if it is not everything is needed. I have here a question, we'll get to that in just a second. Let me just show you quickly here, for example, once you're through with this, you have all your data already filled in, and then you can have that filled into your accounts, into your contracts. And that is also a very important part, because, for example, you see here, this is already tailored with all the information of me, with the associated parties, all that I have already clicked before is in the document here available. I can check the information and so on, and continue throughout the document. All what I have given, the previous information is filled in, and that will be, of course, different for every single client. And here I can agree or disagree with this document. With this, we go through the process, and then it ends up with the, once it is done here, the client has uploaded everything, it ends up here as a new client in the overview, and the compliance officers get notified. They can then go through. As mentioned before, we've got everything in a simple location, and there we can, once it is done, we can confirm this. And then the client gets informed that he's onboarded on the platform. Let's come back to the chat. I see there's some questions now here. More detail about how we can I give more detail about how we provide assurance of our IT data security claim, and some background on audit and certifications or standards followed. How do you technically secure that it is secret? Now, the important thing is here that this is the company behind this is a company which is a information management company. We are part of the Enacta group, and Enacta is a company, well, information management company, input management, output management. That's the focus there. And this company is mostly active for banks in Switzerland and abroad, and insurance companies and so on. So there, of course, we are obliged by the regulator and by our clients directly to adhere to the highest standards. That means all the data is running over servers, internal servers, all in Switzerland, so that you don't have a cross-border breach there. For external countries, for external clients in other countries, you can adapt that setup if needed. That depends on the regulatory setup. So on this, I invite really everybody to contact us, and then we will look at the cases. What can we adopt there? Now, also besides that, there are some not only where is the data handled and stored, but also how do you secure your setup. Now, what you have seen here, that is the front end, and the front end, it is not just a GUI setup where you have a visibility and there is an interaction with the back end, and that gets attackable, or that opens up the possibilities for attacks. No, this is all programmed by Enacta and KYC Gate internally, so that it is resistant against any attacks and any breaches of information. Now, when it gets really technical, I invite you, please send me, I'll type in my email address, and please send me an email, and I'm happy to follow on with some more technical background. Any other questions here? Ashur did not see the shared dashboard. Let me check. Well, dashboard, well, here you've got the compliance officer. That is basically the overview is meant by that, and that you've got all the information in here. This has the information from the KYC documents, here the information, the checks, the ID of that. If you need more information, you can download it here as a zip format. You have all the information here in one place. Comments, onboarded documents, and all the background of this person here. That is an overview, and that you can have this. Now, besides the compliance officer, there are of course two other roles as well. So depending on who is dealing with this platform, thereby you have different visibility there. And I'm happy to go into more detail if this is if someone has questions. Are there any other questions? I don't know. in the chat, or let me just, here's my email address. I invite everybody to contact me and to see how this would make sense to which type of company of yours. And yes, with this, I thank everybody for the participation. And I don't know who is coming next. I pass it on to the administrator of the chat. Thank you very much.